There we go. Sound. Hi. Welcome to Class Ruin. My name is Raina. Thank you for being here. I'll make my screen bigger in just a sec. I'm just kind of going through making sure everyone's muted. Cool. So if you have been to class before, welcome back. If you haven't, welcome. Tonight's class is an intuitive movement class. And so honestly, I've been really hesitant to teach these online for a while just because they can be a little different than a yoga asana class. And they're definitely a little bit more exploratory. You're a little bit more on your own in some ways. And I'm always here, I'm always guiding. But it's just a lot more time for you to move in like really, really authentic ways. And so just to make sure that everyone's clear on kind of what we're coming into, this class will be lightly guided. And so we'll start lying down and I'll give the guidance of like, reach your arms out, take up some space, find a twist, find a deep breath and a back bend. And that'll be kind of the pace of the class. I'll say, come on to hands and knees, find some circles, find some cat-cow. It's really time for you to move your bodies in ways that feel good. And the focus of the class is, yes, the movement, but it's more the experience of just moving, of just feeling, and of really just being with yourself. I do always recommend with these classes, a little bit of music. I'm going to drop a playlist in the chat. If you want to use it, you're welcome to use it. If you don't have to. I just find it helps me kind of get out of just the chatter and into the rhythm, my body, all that good stuff. My dog will join me on the mat, I'm sure. And besides that, you don't need too much. A mat, maybe a blanket. I have pretty tender knees, and so if you're in that ballpark, a blanket would be great. And yeah, any blocks that may feel helpful, or any other props that may feel helpful in supporting you. Pardon me, let me just make myself bigger. There we go. Okay, cool. So with that said, we'll get started in just another minute or two. So take a moment, set your space up, grab any other props you may like, light a candle, put on some music. Yeah, and we'll get started in just a minute. I'm gonna let my dog out really quick. Okay. All right, everyone. And I always like to remind myself and y'all that home practice is special because it offers us just so many opportunities to stay focused on what we're doing and not get distracted by all of the things that would much rather have our attention on them than ourselves. Cool, so we're gonna start lying down. And you can lie down really in any way you want. If you want to lie down on your side, on your back, on your tummy, it's all good. Knees bent, legs extended, like figure four, whatever it is, you're just lying down, making some contact with the floor. And once you get there, you can let your eyes close or your gaze soften. Oh, I almost put this. There we go, Mariah. Playlist is officially in the chat. I didn't hit send. With settling down, and just take that moment to kind of imagine yourself maybe like on the beach, or if you're like a woods person, in the woods, and just kind of nuzzling down into the ground, getting a little heavier, a little more cozy. And if it feels safe and good, See how it feels to make a little contact with your body. Maybe that's just hands pressing to the sides of your thighs, of your head, or maybe it's resting hands on your tummy or on the top of your head across your forehead. Maybe it's a gentle press of your legs into each other, just feeling the support and the connection there. And always feel free to keep on wiggling, keep moving. And when you feel ready for stillness, you can settle into it. Observing your breath and just sitting with the flow of it. You don't need to move it around or manipulate it unless that feels really good. Maybe finding those big exhales. And as you breathe and observe your breath, you may find things smooth out a little. Maybe they slow down. And finding a little bit more ease with your inhales. And a little more surrender with your exhales. And from wherever you are, start to shift your shape just a little bit. Maybe stretching out the legs or just reaching through your fingertips. You can rock your hips a little side to side. And even if at any point things feel a little funny, just want to remind you that you know deep down there is no wrong way to move your body. And so being aware of anything that causes you pain, staying away from the pain, but beyond that, really just moving in ways that your body wants to. And if you're on a side or on your tummy, starting to make your way onto your back. And if you're on your back, starting to expand a little bit more, reaching out. And if you don't have the physical space to reach your arms out, reach through the toes, energetically reach. Find big, long inhales that move out through your fingertips, through the tips of your toes. And exhales that kind of just blow a big bubble around you. Maybe your inhales lift your belly, lift part of your back off and away from the earth. And your exhales settle you a little closer to the ground. You can circle through your hands, through your ankles, through your wrists. And then really slowly from our back, start to slide the soles of your feet onto the floor. Knees are bent. And feet can be wide as the mat, maybe wider. And gently start to sway your legs side to side, just finding a pace that feels easy for you, that feels welcome by the body. Arms can be overhead or out to the sides, or even on your body. And if at any point during class you feel a little lost for movement, a little confused on where to take yourself next, I'm moving with you, and you can always take a glance at me. You can follow me until your body's ready to kind of do its own thing. And next time your legs move to the right, let them drop as much as they can today. Just finding a gentle little twist here. And if your arms are overhead, you can drape them towards the left corner of your mat. Taking about 3 more rounds of breath here. Eyes can stay closed. Good. And if your hands were over to the left, bring them center. Knees come center and then drop them to the opposite side. Maybe drape your hands over towards the right corner of your mat. Just finding a few rounds of breath here. Two more breaths. Good. Everything coming back to the center. Both feet on the floor. Begin to blink your eyes open or refocus your gaze just kind of up towards the sky, towards your ceiling. It doesn't need to be super focused. It's still kind of diffuse, if you will. And then draw your knees towards your chest or towards your armpits. Maybe bring your hands behind your thighs or over the tops of your legs and rock your body side to side, gently pulling one knee in and then the other. And these rocks can be big or they can be little. And then option here, we'll start to make our way to seated. So you can either start to rock up and down the spine, or you can slowly peel yourself away from the earth using your hands to help. Wherever you are, begin to make your way up to a seat. Cross your legs if that feels comfortable, just an easy pose. But if that's not feeling great, try bringing the soles of your feet together in more of a butterfly shape and just see how that feels. Hands come onto your knees or onto your thighs. We'll take a moment in our seat to arrive. Come together. Good. Start to drop your chin towards your chest. Roll your right ear towards your right shoulder. And then if it feels safe, you can subtly roll your head back or come right through center as you drop left ear to left shoulder and roll back chin towards chest. So just continuing these neck circles. And at any point, once you find the movement, if you'd like to close your eyes again, you're more than welcome to. Just one more-ish in this direction. Next time your chin's towards your chest, switch the direction of your circles. Next time chin is towards chest, pause there. Take a few rounds of slow, steady breath. And now start to circle your rib cage. Using your hands on your legs, get a nice grip here. Eyes can be closed or open. Just circling your rib cage, big or little. Hips can rock and roll off the earth, or you can try to keep them really grounded. Connecting to some more intentional breath as you move here. Doesn't need to be in any specific order as far as I'm concerned, but just placing your breath. Maybe you inhale forward and exhale as you rock back or side to side. And then pause to switch the direction of your circles. Good, and slowly let them dissolve. They get smaller, they get slower. Coming back to center. And taking a few breaths right down the middle, just to feel that kind of internal swirling, the energy moving and shifting, and then finding a place to settle, at least for the time being. And either rock over your ankles or swing your feet around. We'll come into tabletop from here. And if you like some cushion for your knees, this is a great time to grab that. Hands about shoulder distance apart, knees just about hips distance, maybe a little wider. And start to just rock side to side, lifting one hand off the earth and the other. Finding a little sway. And also giving the wrists just a little attention here. Maintaining a nice firm grip of the earth. So like you're trying to crumple the mat under you. And as you sway here, you can start to rock your hips as well, side to side, like you're trying to tap your hip towards your shoulder. And let this movement kind of make its way into some circles, into some bigger sways. You can rock your hips back towards your heels. Shoulders can move towards your fingertips. I kind of imagine that I'm drawing circles on my mat with my belly button. And exploring both directions, exploring different paces, different rhythms. Bending the elbows, maybe making figure eights with your shoulders. And if at any point you're feeling like, you know what, that feels like a little too much for me, come to some cat-cow, right down the middle. We'll be here for about 10 more rounds of my breath. Five more. 3, 2, and 1. Coming back to neutral. Pausing for a moment, and you can stay in tabletop, or you can lower onto your forearms. Cross them and stack them, and then rest your forehead down. We'll take 5 rounds of breath right here. Good. Slowly coming up, first onto the forearms, bringing your head a little further away from the ground, and then rising onto your hands. Blocks may come in handy here. We'll make our way into a forward fold. And so just tucking your toes under and then pressing your hands into the ground so you can lift your knees, walk your feet belly distance apart, really. Bend your knees nice and deep, kind of bounce a little bit, allowing your body to settle between the thighs. And then grab your elbows with your hands, gently sway your upper body side to side. Honestly, knees might sway, hips might sway as well. We'll take just 5-ish rounds of breath here. And slowly just letting your sway dissolve. Letting the movement fade away. Releasing your hands back towards the earth. And then either fingertips to the ground, hands on your blocks, or maybe hands just above your knees. Lift your heart up. Find that halfway lift. Gaze shifts out ahead. Take an inhale. And as you exhale, fold back forward. We're going to do 4 more like that. So inhale, start to roll into that halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Finding the wave in the spine. Inhale, round the back to roll into your extended halfway lift. Exhale, flatter back as you fold forward. Good. Inhale, round into your lift. Exhale, fold. 2 more. Last one. Good. Taking that roll all the way up into standing. You can use your hands on your legs, pressing them gently into your thighs, and then pausing with hands just at your hips, head still dropped towards your chest, allowing your body time to adjust. And when you feel like that settling feeling through your head, through your heart, start to make your way all the way up to standing. Wiggle your feet to a supportive, comfortable stance. Slide your shoulders down your back, away from your earlobes. Wiggle out the hands, the feet. Taking a moment here to settle into our new level, but also just to let everyone arrive in a pace that works for them. Good. And with an inhale, circle your arms out, reach them overhead. Maybe your gaze shifts up. Exhale, circle your arms back down by your side. 2 more like that. So inhale, arms come overhead. Exhale, arms by your side. Last one, inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, arms by your side. And now you're welcome to stay facing the shorter edge of the mat. I'm just going to turn to face the long edge. You want some space. And so if you have enough space where your feet will feel grippy on the floor, stay wherever you'd like. But I think the long edge feels a little bit more spacious for a lot of people. And so feet can be hips distance, maybe a little wider. Hands are by your side, and start to rock your hips side to side. And as you rock your hips to the right, right knee bends. And as you rock your hips left, left knee bends. And to this sway, start to add your arms. And this is the part of class where I'm really going to invite you, I'm going to ask you to join me in the buy-in. Join me in the space that we often kind of resist, the silly space, the big space, the spaces that we don't even know where they are sometimes. Like we have to find them. And when we do, sometimes they feel a little odd. They might feel a little unwelcome. And so I'm asking you to explore within your boundaries. Maybe start to make your rocks a little bigger. Arms a little bigger. And maybe you tap your opposite hip with your hand. And you can move really slow through this. So 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Release your arms down. Let that heat that built in your shoulders sink down through your fingertips. Let your sways release, coming back to the center. Good, and slide your hands onto your hips. Always feel free to adjust and readjust your feet. I'm going to bring mine in a little bit. And start to make some figure 8s with your hips. So sending your hip forward, circling it back, and then the opposite hips moves forward and back. And so making these figure 8s with your hips, and these can be big, mine are kind of big, or they can be really down the middle, really contained. Letting your knees bend. Maybe your shoulders move with you. And there are so many amazing stretches and yoga asana that help with lower back and hip release. But honestly, moving them more in freeing ways like this, I think is one of the best things you can do for your hips and your lower back. If your wrists are feeling funny, make your hands into fists, compress those onto your hips, and start to let your figure eights turn into big hip circles. And you can almost think of your circles as more of corners. And so like you're trying to hit the front corners with your hips, send the booty back and hit the back corners. And eventually these smooth out. Starting to intentionally place your breath, reconnecting to it. And then just switch the direction of your circles. Taking this for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let those circles get smaller. Bring them back to the center. Let your hands drop. Give your wrists a little shake. Take a moment down the middle. Just reach your hands out in front of you for a moment as we come into some wrist stretches here. Make your fists and then start to rev your motorcycle. Even with intuitive movement, wrist care. Keep those fists, inner forearms face the sky, and just doing the same thing, kind of the other way. Good. Release your fists, interlace your hands, ride your roller coaster, waving through your arms. And then switch the direction of your waves, which is sometimes such a little mind trick. Good. Release that. Give your hands a shake and let's shake it out. So start to shake through the hands and let that shaking travel down into the hips, into the knees, into the feet. And this is something you can absolutely modulate. Maybe it's small and contained, or maybe it's gigantic. You can ebb and flow through it. There's no one way you have to be here. Because we're going to do this for just a couple minutes, so it might be a little bit longer than you're used to if you've done something like this before. And my favorite invitation is to make a little noise. And so if you're in a space where it feels good, noise. You can yell, you can make an H-U-H sound. It can be guttural. It can be weird. Is one of my favorites. Or like the horse. I don't know. And remember, if you need a little less heat from this, a little less bigness, bring it in. Shake the hands, shake the head. You can dust yourself off any bullshit that's been weighing you down, sitting in your energy. Maybe use this time. Shake it off, shake above your head, round your belly, around your lower back. If it feels okay, make a little contact with yourself. Hitting that point where things might start to feel a little uncomfortable. I'm building that ability. Am I in pain or am I uncomfortable? And if I'm uncomfortable, am I choosing to be with that for just a little bit longer? We'll take this for another minute, Another 10 rounds of my breath. Halfway. Last round of breath. And once again, let it fade. Let it get smaller. And eventually, hands come by your side. And if you're finding any residual movement still in your hands, or your head, or your hips, it's fine. It'll go when it's ready. Slide one hand onto your belly, one hand onto your chest, either to touch your body or to hover over. Allow your eyes to close or your gaze to soften. Drop your chin towards your chest. And taking this time to feel, I feel like it's kind of a circuit that we have and that we create, that we generate more energy for. This breath to heart to body kind of circuit. Checking in with yourself. Are you locking your knees or your jaw? Where can you soften and find a little bit more ease? We'll take 3 more rounds of breath here. And then slowly lift your chin away from your chest. Release your hands down by your side. And begin to open your eyes or refocus your gaze. And we're going to shift our movement just a little bit as we make our way from this kind of big, almost chaotic movement to a little more controlled, a little more linear. We're going to taper. We're going to get there. And so from here, bring your arms overhead, link your thumbs together. Palms are facing forward-ish. If you're more like this, that's totally fine, but kind of opening the book of your hands here. Extend your arms as much as you feel like you can without squeezing your head with your hands. So if you come here, soften the shoulders, you can bend the elbows. Good. Take an inhale, bring your hips forward a little bit so you're not feeling like you're sticking your booty out. Then exhale, find a little more space between your shoulders and your ears. Good. Inhale, shift your gaze up. Exhale, side bend to the right. Inhale, center. Exhale, side bend left. Inhale, center. Side bend right. Inhale, center. Side bend left. Good. Inhale, center. Side bend right to hold this time. Stay just like this, or maybe see how it feels to cross that left foot behind your right. You can bend that right knee, finding this kind of long side bend lunge-ish shape here. 3, 2, and 1. If your foot was behind, step it back to center. Switch which thumb is in front. Take an inhale. And exhale, side bend to the left to hold. Maybe step that right foot behind the left. Finding this crossed lunge here. Nice big side bend. For 3, 2, and 1. Back to center. Take an inhale. And exhale, release your hands down. Give your arms a little shake. Head a little rock side to side. And from here, we will come to the short edge or the top of the mat. And we'll come into just a few rounds of really simple, really linear half sun salutations. And so some blocks may be helpful here, but I'm going to use my legs instead of blocks today. And so bringing the ground as close to you is as necessary for you to do this movement comfortably. Feet hips distance or maybe a little bit wider. Take an inhale, reach your arms overhead. Exhale to fold forward. Hands can meet the earth, your blocks, or your legs. Find an inhale and a halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Hands come down. Step your right foot to the back of your mat. Lower your right knee. Slow inhale, arms come overhead. Low lunge, Anjaneyasana for 3. Belly comes away from the thighs for 2. One more inhale. Exhale, hands come down. Tuck your right toes, lift your right knee. Take a couple steps or one big step up into your forward fold. Inhale to halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Left foot steps to the back of your mat. Lower your left knee. Find that stability, a little squeeze of the legs towards each other. And with an inhale, arms come out and overhead, low lunge. And this can be soft, it can be bouncy. It can feel a little less structured than normal. That's totally fine. For 3, 2. One more inhale. Exhale, hands come down. Tuck your left toes, lift your left knee, and a couple steps or a big step up towards your forward fold. Inhale to halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, arms come overhead, bringing yourself to standing. Exhale, arms by your side. 3 rounds of breath. One more round, just like that. So inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale to halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Right toes step to the back of the mat. Lower your knee. And with an inhale, rise up. Low lunge for 3, 2. Inhale. Exhale, hands come down. Right toes tuck, right knee lifts, step up, forward fold. Inhale to halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Left toes step to the back of your mat, lower your knee. With an inhale, arms come up, low lunge for 3, 2. Inhale. Exhale, hands come down. Tuck your left toes, lift your knee, step or steps up, forward fold. With an inhale, take your halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, arms circle out and come overhead. Exhale, arms by your side, 3 rounds of breath. Good. Inhale, arms overhead. We'll make our way to the ground. Exhale, fold forward. Bend your knees enough to plant your hands to your blocks or the earth, and then step back into tabletop. Taking just a moment in our tabletop and finding a few rounds of cat-cow here. Inhaling with your arched back and your low belly for cow pose. And exhaling with your round spine and your hollow belly for cat. Good. Coming to center. And from here, sit your hips to either side, just making your way onto your bottom. And again, you can face either direction. I just often face y'all. Extend your legs out. And your out is going to look different than my out, but something that doesn't feel like you're being pulled apart, something that feels sustainable. And if you have a lot of space between your knees and the earth, grab a pillow or blankets, fill the gap, give yourself that support. Take an inhale, reach your arms overhead, and exhale to fold forward. Hands can come to the earth. It doesn't need to be this giant fold. We're just looking for some sensation of ourselves rooting down into the earth through our hips. Sensation through the back line of the legs, and maybe the inner line of the legs. Good. Walking your hands back towards your body. Bend your right knee and bring your right foot right down the center line of your body. I love this shape for hip opening. I feel like it's very available to a lot of people. And if you'd like, you can cushion under your right knee with a pillow or blanket for some added support. Take an inhale, reach your arms overhead. And as you exhale, fold forward over that leg. That's why it's great to have something soft under your leg, because you can still find that little bit of hip opening, that extra with the weight of your body, but still have support. And if you're not feeling it, slide that support out and let the ground meet your leg. Taking 3 more rounds of breath here. And 1. Walk your hands back towards your body. And then you can use your hands to help, or you can see how it feels to balance on your bum. As you switch legs, left leg comes in, left foot's right down the middle of the body. Inhale, arms overhead, and exhale, fold forward. Using the weight of your body to help your left knee move towards the ground, but not before your upper thigh and that whole area is meeting the ground. That would be kind of wild anatomically. Breathing right here for 3, 2, and 1. Coming up, bringing the soles of both feet together. Finding that little butterfly pose. Hands come around your ankles or maybe around your feet. Gently press your forearms into your thighs and start to fold forward. For 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Coming up. And if you do have a blanket, grab it, roll it into a little burrito, and then lay it on your mat. It's going to go right under your spine and supporting your head. And if you don't have a blanket and you have a pillow or something that you can put under your upper back and shoulder area, that'll give you a very similar experience. Just this opening, this heart opening, but very gentle, very subtle. And so once you have just a little bit of support under your upper back, go ahead and lay down over it. And again, we're supporting our head here, so we have kind of a nice even line. Arms can be open. Sorry, my dog is barking. Arms are open, elbows can be bent, palms face the sky. Or if that doesn't feel great, if it feels like a little bit too much pressure on your shoulders, if you have more pillows or blankets around, you can see how it feels to fill the gap. Even lift your arms up by putting blocks under your elbows. And from there, Allow your eyes to close. And just settle in and take a few rounds of breath. Allow yourself to soften. To find a little bit more space. Knees can be bent or legs can be extended. It is your preference. And we'll take a few minutes right here, probably about the next 3 minutes. Just continuing to breathe. And you can allow your mind to wander, or you can try to anchor it to your breath or to something more specific, like a affirmation. But I'm going to give you a little bit of quiet time here. And so I'm still here. And I'll bring you out when the time comes. Good. And super, super slowly, compress one of your forearms into the ground. So flipping your hand to the ground, forearm presses, and just rock your body towards that forearm. Slide your support out from under your back and then roll back onto your back. Flipping both palms onto the earth. And then slowly bending your knees. The soles of your feet are on the ground. Walk your feet towards the edges of your mat and drop your legs in so that your thighs are resting on each other. Coming into some supine twists. Pick your feet up off the ground. Draw your knees just gently towards your chest. They don't need to come far. And squeeze your legs towards each other. And then drop your stacked legs to the left. If there's a lot of space between your knees, pop a pillow or a blanket in there. Or if there's any other spaces that need filled, fill them. Arms can be extended, palms up or palms down. We'll take 5 rounds of breath here before going to the other side. And so you can really linger as long as you'd like, because you know exactly where we're going next. And then just slowly making your way to the other side. You can move through the air or across the ground. But finding your twist with the legs dropped right this time, or whichever way you haven't done. And since it takes a little less time to set up, we'll take 8 rounds of breath on this side. And then just slowly making your way back to the center. And although this wasn't really technically a yoga class, we're still going to take a little shavasana, just really a little time to be right down the middle, heavy to the ground, still, and a little quiet. And so find any shape, any lying down shape, if that's available, that supports your stillness. Maybe you return to a shape that you began class with, or something similar to see how that feels. Or maybe something else just feels really right. And so we'll take just a couple minutes here. If your eyes aren't closed, this is a great time to close them or soften the gaze. And kind of just circling back to where we started. Knowing you can stay right here as long as you'd like. But if you're feeling ready to bring that movement back in, Start to wiggle, start to reach, maybe a little slower. A little more like you're moving through honey this time. And just shifting your shape into something a little bit different. Your eyes can stay closed. And using your next 10, maybe 15 rounds of breath to make your way to a comfortable seat. So really don't rush. This is where we're going to be, in a seat. And if it feels okay to keep your eyes closed along the way, I invite you to take that journey. And as you arrive to your seat, letting your hands rest on your thighs for a moment. And sliding one hand onto your belly, one to your chest, either to touch or to hover. Small drop of your chin towards your chest. And just taking one last moment to really sit in the efforts of your practice and the joy and wonder that is you, is your movement, is the time you spend with yourself. Taking a moment to thank yourself for making time and space to come to your practice, to move your bodies, just to feel and to be with yourself. A moment to thank your body for being wonderful. As always, I encourage you to find as many moments as you can to really be in awe of yourself. And thank you all so much for coming this evening, for allowing me to guide you through this practice. It's truly just the greatest gift to be your teacher. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you all again. If you have any questions, feel free to hang around and ask them. I'll be here for a couple minutes, but if not, have a great evening, and I will see you next time we're together. Good boy, Snape. Thanks, y'all. Have a great night. Thank you, thank you. Oh, I'm so glad to hear that, Sarah. Thank you. Yeah, Snoop definitely likes to be in my face. Yay, I'm so glad that you all enjoyed class. Thank you so much for trying something maybe a little different. And yeah, if you like these, which it seems like you do, I will be happy to do one a month and kind of bring that into the live classes. I'm just gonna make the screen slightly bigger. Sorry, I have like peeper eyes. But yeah, if anyone has any questions about anything, I like to leave like a minute of quiet if anyone wants to ask anything, but then I will sign off. Cool. Well, have a good night, y'all, and I'll see you next time.